All right. Thank you for agreeing to share your story here and have your consultation recorded so that others could benefit from it. We're going to use the name Sarah or Josh, one that you choose. Because what I've learned is that people really don't care about your name. They just want to know the story, and they want to know that they're not alone in this. So I'm
Sarah.
Sarah? All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my favorite names. That's why I chose it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is give me a timeline of what you've experienced, and sharing your age and that person's age is also important.
Yeah. So I am 40 now. My husband is 35. 36. I will be 36 in December. And the timeline of our relationship, we got married in 2023. So 2.5 years, a little bit more than 2.5 years.
All right. Tell me when you guys met, how did your relationship progress to where it is and how it got to where it is right now?
Yeah, so I actually did a reflection letter and I kind of wrote everything down to help me process my grief and everything I'm going through. We met on an app, and it progressed very, very quickly. He flew in, met me, and I think within just spending like a couple of hours together and like a full day, we had said I love you to each other, and we just knew that we wanted to be married and spend our lives together. There was just something that made us feel seen in those moments. It was like this void that we've been looking for, and we felt that the other person was able to kind of fill that in.
All right. What brings you to me?
So we're broken up now, and I'm the anxious. I become anxious, and then he's the, I would say, fearful, disorganized attachment. And we didn't know that we were these things. We just couldn't figure it out. And I think me leading on a lot of the therapy and the growth is the one that actually discovered attachment styles. It's a very nuanced concept to a lot of therapists still. So sometimes therapy doesn't work because we did therapy and the therapist, the marriage counselor said, well, either he's attracted to you or he's not. And why would you want to be with somebody that's not attracted to you? And that gave him an outing the first time he left. And he's like, I can't create attraction. And it kind of leaves the person confused because why would you marry somebody that you're not attracted to? Make a lifelong commitment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this question was asked, you were together when you saw the therapist, or was it done separately?
We were together. Yeah, we were going through therapy. And what happened was, I think an event triggered something, and he had a separate session with her. I had a separate session with her. And then she came back and said, I know this is not easy, but he has some things he wants to share with you. And he kind of did his best and shared those. And it was very painful. But he, even to this day, goes back and reinforces what she said. And he's like, I feel like the one therapist out of everyone that we've seen, she saw what I felt and she validated what I felt.
All right. Can you share with me what he said or what he wanted to share with you? Remember, you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, it was just in summary that he doesn't feel attracted to me, and he really didn't have an explanation. Like, I'm beautiful and I'm a wonderful person. I'm one of the best people he's ever met in his entire life, like the top three, and in terms of like amazing people. And he just did not feel that attraction towards me. And I guess it was confusing because
No, that's all right. This is painful. You don't have to apologize for hurting.
because I didn't change physically. And it was just a big insecurity of mine. And I think he knew that because when he came back together, I asked him. No, he came back to me. And I said, I still feel insecure about this because you said this to me. And he's like, I kind of said it to end things because I knew it would really hurt you. And it was like my way out. And he's like, of course I find you beautiful, you know. And so I think even though that had been clarified, I think in the back of my mind, I always carry that with me, that wound.
I don't know what the hell is wrong with people that they're saying these mean, cruel, hurtful things just to push someone away. I mean, just say it's not going to work out. You know, you don't deserve this. You know that. I'm just voicing
Yeah.
it out for you. And I'm really sorry that you're enduring this.
Yeah, it's hard. I think a lot of me, it's just like in reflection, I go back and I try to have empathy for the other person. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was attracted to me was because I have a big heart and he's looking for filling this void that's inside him. And I was looking to fill a void too, one that would provide me safety. And I think being an eldest daughter, being somebody that has to kind of earn love in, you know, a household with a lot of kids and always be perfect, I can see how we're like the same side of the coin, or opposite sides of the same coin, where the fearful avoidant also wants love, but they feel that they have to perform through their accomplishments, versus if an anxious person that shows it through love and acts of service.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, both need to prove themselves. They need to prove that they're worthy of it because they've not healed enough to know that they just deserve it. It's just something that you don't have to fight for, try for, chase. You should, well, we should all be healed enough to just sit back and receive it. With him, most of the times when an avoidant attached person says, I'm no longer attracted to my partner or in love with my partner. Well, first of all, they equate in love and attraction to that giddy feeling, the chase. And when the relationship gets calm, they're not used to that, right? They're not used to steady, calm, and peaceful. So it becomes blah. And there isn't anything riled up within them. There is no excitement. They're not worried or wondering where their partner is because they always know. Right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes they'll say, the person doesn't set boundary. They tolerate whatever I do. I know I'm not treating them well. And they don't say anything. They're so patient. And it's annoying for them. These are the things that they've said. So when they say that they're not in love or they're not attracted, they're searching for healthy boundaries. They just don't know that. They just don't know that. So they fall into this cycle of doing whatever they want. And yes, their partner may speak up, but it's not setting boundaries. A partner just says, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. And then it sounds like an ultimatum. It sounds like being assertive, but they're really looking for a boundary. They want a partner who's going to say, I'm not okay with this, and walk away. And now you don't get to come back and just, think that you could use your sweet words in a present and smooth things over and we get back to normal. Now they need to earn that respect. It's the same way as, them focusing on their work. It's putting in effort to get a reward. Okay, yeah. So that's general. Go on.
I think the first year of our marriage, it was me walking away. Mm-hmm. And the second year was him walking away and me chasing him. And it would be like even a month in, he switched. Like he presented a different side of him to me. And I'm somebody that is disciplined and he likes those qualities and he also has that. And I think my partner might have BBC or perhaps bipolar disorder. And this is coming from my partner because he's seen these patterns in previous relationships, a previous marriage. He chose somebody on the opposite spectrum, somebody that was kind of a free bird, somebody that participated in recreational drugs and couldn't quit. And that pissed him off. But he also did those things with her. And so they were kind of like nomads traveling, just, very hippie lifestyle. Not a lot of pressure, not being asked to rise. And there's no challenge in that relationship. So it felt different. But then it got bored when he started looking for something more real. And then a couple years later found me. And I'm representing this person that had their life together. I had a house, I had a car, I owned everything. I had what I had. And the only missing piece was this. And so I come in the picture and this side of him is presented to me. And then he started getting cold feet closer to the marriage, trying to back out. Maybe I don't want kids. By the way, I also participate in this and I didn't share this with you. And perhaps I have some drinks here and there once in a while. And that switched to us getting married and him saying, and I this part I don't want you to use because it might be a little bit, it might kind of reveal in case he listens to the podcast.
Okay,
but
so hang on. There is some stuff that you want to share that you feel like if he should hear this podcast, he will know it's associated with him.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hit pause. We've talked about this, the reason that we took the pause, it was something really heavy that you went through. How can you share that with us so that no one's identity is revealed?
Yeah, so there were promises made by him before we got married, and shortly after we got married, those promises were betrayed and not upheld. And so that caused a lot of issues in our marriage from the beginning.
It would have been a case where this person kept saying, this is how I thought, this is what I wanted. and I never went through with it. Now, what are you feeling when you hear them talk about this thing that should have been done, that wasn't done?
It made me feel very insecure, where this person that was like the safest, or that he made me feel the safest I've ever felt in my life, was not that safe space anymore. So it felt like I got the rug pulled underneath from my feet.
Yeah, that blindsided. And that's generally something that avoidant attached persons will do. They will have feelings about certain things or situations, things happening in the relationship, and they don't talk about it. They keep it inward, and then instead of taking responsibility and saying, I should have done things differently, they build up resentment. Right. And this goes to show what happens, how we chip away at our relationships when we're unable to set our boundaries, when we're unable to speak up. Speaking up is a part of our boundary. It's, like you mentioned earlier, that, they said they drink every now and again, and they partake in this particular thing every now and again. While it can very well be to test you or to use information, nitpick, and try to push you away. It's also the inability to speak from the very beginning of your relationship, and give you a fair chance. I think what happens is that they do want connection. They do want to be with someone, and they don't want to lose themselves. And the fear is, I have to lose myself in order to keep this person. And it's really got nothing to do with their partner. This is all in their head. This is something that they've grown up believing, that, in order to keep people close to me, I have to BS them.
Absolutely. It's the people pleaser in their personality that comes through, right? And they get exhausted because they're doing it with everybody. Like, they're doing it with friendships, they're doing it with business partners, they're doing it to everybody. And so when they come home, they just want to be able to take that mask off. And what I found was that my partner felt, which he did not voice until the end of the relationship, was I felt like I always had to wear a mask with you. And I felt like I couldn't be myself. I felt like I had to perform. And I was like, what is the ideal relationship in your mind? Can you please tell me? And he said something that is easy on my mind. Something that just flows.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't make me constantly think about this, because what was puzzling was we would go on with our lives and he would blame this relationship for being something that he couldn't, one, make money at work, like succeed at work, because he's constantly thinking about it. He's constantly thinking about my mood. And I'm a positive person. I'm very happy. But yes, the relationship in my life does affect who I am. But I'm here, I've experienced loss. Like, I've experienced job loss. I've experienced a lot of things, but I've had to kind of figure my way out of it and not use this relationship as a scapegoat and blame it. But for him, it was just so easy to be like, well, this relationship is a stressor in my life, and that's why I can't do X, Y, and Z. I feel like I can't be who I am. And I think one of the other things that was really hard for us was when I felt unsafe from this betrayal in the beginning. And I would see little things, because I'm hypervigilant, and I would look for other things like, oh, why are you still friends with this girl? Why are you liking her content? Why are you talking so nicely to her? Because I was seeking that validation from him, but he was holding it back from me, and it would upset me. And then he would be like, you're just not letting me be who I am. And I'm like, but I don't understand why you need to do these things. It was like, not necessarily micro cheating, but it was trying to get validation or if you're liking, why have the need to, you can have your own life, but why have the need to do that or share personal details about our relationship to a friend, a girlfriend that asks, like, how's married life,
Mm-hmm.
And when you're saying that you're having some issues, you're opening the door.
Yes.
And this is somebody that you told me in the past that you're attracted to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just really hard because I don't think they understand the hurt that they cause the other person, or maybe they do. And our relationship turned into something where he felt shame as the number one feeling in the relationship was just shame.
Mm-hmm.
And shame came from not being good enough, having to perform, and basically having to rise up and be this person that he kind of portrayed himself to be. Even towards the end of the relationship, I was like, I'm going to accept you no matter what, because I'm learning that that's what love is meeting you where you need me to meet you. But that still wasn't good enough because he felt so much shame.
Because that would be because his actions towards you and in the relationship, he knew he did not earn that spot in your life. So here I am being treated badly, and I'm telling the person who's treating me badly, who's saying mean things, who's doing things I've said hurts me, right? You're pretty much torturing me. And I'm looking at you and saying, I still love you. I still want to be with you. I still accept you. Of course, that other person at some point, unless, something's really, really wrong, at some point they're going to feel guilt and shame, right? This isn't to shame you, just so you know. Just so
Yeah.
I'm making this clear. It's to understand why someone would feel terrible. It's a good thing. It's good that we have feelings like guilt and shame. It's a way we're supposed to use it as a guide to stop doing the thing that's causing the shame or causing the guilt, right? But what happens with the avoidant attached person is, you asked this question, why look for validation? Why open the door? If it's an insecure attachment, if it's someone who is insecure within themselves, then this is the natural course of action. This is how they naturally will behave. They're looking for outside validation. How is your marriage? Oh, I have issues. Why am I telling that to someone? Well, I want them to say, oh, but you're such a wonderful person. How could there possibly be issues here? And then I'm probably going to share a little bit more because maybe I want that person to say, yeah, it's not you. You're perfectly fine. She's the problem. So I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for excuses for my behavior. That's very short-lived because at some point I'm going to be by myself and I've got to think about it. And when I think about it, I know how I behave as a human being. So yes, of course, he's dealing with shame and guilt. That's normal for him. And it's not a bad thing. You see, do avoidant attached know how they hurt others? Sometimes they're aware. And if they are aware, then they're able to apologize or find some way of making up, correcting behavior. Not all avoidant attached persons will act this way. It depends on their emotional awareness and intelligence scale, where they are on it. Some people are not emotionally intelligent and they will cause pain to others. Are they doing it deliberately? For the most part, what I've seen is people act and react. Does that make it okay? No. So at no point should you accept what someone's doing to you, no matter what. And they need to know that. They need to know that you are going to love yourself. You're going to know your worth and your value in relationships. You are going to know that. You're going to be a whole person who can say, I don't want to leave you. I really like you. However, if you hurt me, I'm out. Because you've got to love them more. Love isn't about sacrificing yourself. You can have empathy and some serious boundaries. Having empathy doesn't mean, and loving someone doesn't mean you have to stay with them.
Yeah, it's just hard because it's like that connection is just so, like, it's fireworks in the beginning, right? And I think we created a sense of safety within each other by being very vulnerable. And that's how we decided that we're going to get together. We shared something very vulnerable to each other, and we gave empathy to each other. And so we were like, that's it, you're my person. And then that betrayal happened, and then everything kind of went downwards from there because that person kind of did a 180. And in a normal kind of secure relationship, like that type of thing can be talked about and not triggered, because the problem is that when they're doing these things like substance use and numbing themselves, like that's what it is. It's numbing themselves, right? They're not proud. And the other partner is like a mirror, which what I understand my role was, a mirror. And like, I'm just sitting there minding my own business, being like, okay, whatever, I accept you. But me just being present is triggering to the other person because they haven't made peace with that. And so then they end up thinking that my presence means unsafety in their body, and my presence means that this relationship is not the right relationship, rather than maybe my presence is asking them to reflect and look at what the actual core issue is. Because a lot of times what would be hurtful in the beginning of our relationship was like me leaving, because I'm setting a boundary and I'm leaving. And I, would be able to leave, but then like he would chase me back. I'm so sorry. I understand. Like, you don't deserve this. And then I would come back. And that was always the case, whether it was like me leaving for a day, me leaving for a couple of days. And then it would start being like, well, I feel better when you're not here. And I think it was like a lot of other things that avoidance deal with, just their need for space. But it's like not somebody watching them, because he's somebody that can't live with anyone. Like he's told me, like even close family, friends. And his avoidance started, I think, in childhood when he got left alone. He was left alone to kind of make a name for himself and, succeed in school, succeed in work, all of those things. And so I think he was just not able to cope. And the other thing with him is that he came across kind of pretty bad company. They became his family. And he knows he's outgrown those people. And he says it like, they're not who I want to be. They're not reflective of the life that I project for myself. You are, but I can't seem to figure out this. Like, I don't know how to get here, but I'm stuck here. They're my people and you're not my person,
It sounds like he is staying with what's familiar, but on a deeper consciousness, he knows what's good for him. And it also sounds, and I've heard many cases like this, where who you want to become is standing right in front of you. And there's an inability to work through your demons to get there. And you're looking at that person wondering, how did you find the strength to do it? And now that is a reflection of I'm just going to use this word for lack of a better one, weakness. And that is an uncomfortable feeling for a lot of people. And I find in a lot of couple relationships, especially the therapy thing can be really tricky. That's why I asked you if both of you went to the therapist together. that can be damaging. I've seen it hurt. I'm not saying therapy is not a good idea. Therapy is a great idea. But when two people who love each other, decided to be together, want to be together, and they're struggling, end up in front of someone, even if it's a friend, and you're sharing things about how you feel in the relationship, it can hurt the other person. It can really damage the other person. And then you leave, whether it's the friend or family or therapist's office, and you've got to deal with that outside. You said this in there. The other thing is we don't tell our whole truth because the other person's there listening. Right? So it's not always the best option for those who are listening to this, and you. In the future, I would advise, it's great to have couples therapy. Ask your therapist if you could do it separately. You could meet for a consultation, but even that, just meet separately. And your partner, when we're in these relationships, and generally speaking, and this has been proven in science, psychology, spiritually, women tend to grow emotionally and spiritually a lot quicker than men do. We evolve quicker. The problem arises often in relationships when our partner is not emotionally mature or aware to appreciate the growth of their partner, and they see it as a dark shadow of theirs or a negative reflection of them or something to make them feel less than. When they can't celebrate their partner's growth and they see it as an attack upon themselves, then they feel small and they try to pull you down.
Yeah. So it's almost like being in a class that's, sorry to interrupt you, but it's almost like being in a class where it's not challenging. Mm-hmm. And you need to kind of go to the next level. And I think a lot of people do, but then if it gets too hard, it's like, whatever, I'm just going to go back to what I find comfortable because I don't feel stupid. Yeah. Yeah. It's a mindset, and it's also what our body gets used to. Our body gets used to being it a certain way, and it's like, okay, I've survived this way. It's been working out for me. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to try anymore. And then there's some people who decide to work on their healing. And there's also a no turning back there too. You can't start a healing journey and start to feel the benefits of it and say, oh, I'll go back to my old self. It is not possible. Right? And you find what I've been seeing is that most avoidant attached persons, depending on their age as well, can heal and make progress. But the ones who remain the same way in their 20s, and they know that there's a problem, and then they continue in their 30s without making an effort, they can very well continue that because there's also the mechanics of the brain. The brain gets hardwired into a particular behavior and continue down that path. But yeah, it sounds like this person needed to work through a lot of their childhood wounds, and they kept showing up in the relationship, pushing you away, you're leaving, they're chasing after you. That's kind of like a child that upsets their mom. The mom says, I can't deal with this anymore. And the child decides, okay, I'm just going to sketch something to make mom happy and I'll go back. And then she's going to like me again and she'll come back and I'll do this over and over again. And a lot of us are stuck at that 5-7-year-old, we keep behaving the same way over and over. Now, my question is, what do you want out of this session? What are you hoping to achieve? I'm just hoping, I think, because there's so much content out there, right? And I think attachment theory is finally something that's really popping up. I don't think a lot of specifically couples therapists are versed in it as well as they should be. And I do think when they're using a lot of these words like it's pressure to be with her and not with my friends, like that should be a flag for them. Or maybe that's a prerequisite of going to couples therapy, is doing attachment theory and like filling out a questionnaire to be able to help people, just like we have love languages, right? Because I think a lot of times that can make things worse. And they should cater the sessions around the attachment styles and also hold somebody like the avoidant accountable, because, you know, my partner actually, he left. It was like a cat and mouse game for a long time. It was mostly me leaving, then him leaving. He left for good earlier in the year, packed his bags, got something, place to stay. And I sent him your content, and I sent him some other kind of content. And he was like, this makes sense. This is who I am. After saying, no way, like, it's you, it's not me. Like, this is never going to work. Came back, and we had maybe a wonderful week together, and like wrote all the stuff professing his love, how he missed me every minute he was apart, and of course he's attracted to me, I'm so beautiful, and this and that. And then something happened specifically. We had somebody move in with us, unfortunately, and that created a lot of stress in our relationship dynamic. And so we were not even able to work on our relationship. And that lasted for a couple of months. That person moved out, and coincidentally, he dumps me. And he's like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I found interesting was during this transition, at this time, I would say, there was a moment where we took a trip. At the beginning of the trip, he checked out. Like, I saw lights out on his face. A lot of times you can actually physically see it from avoidance. And I'm like, something's up. And this was like a very memorable trip for me. It was a special milestone. And I noticed that he wasn't like holding my hands, just, you know, very kind of distant. And I'm like, is everything okay? Open the conversation up. He was like, nope, I don't want to be with you. And you forced this out of me. I didn't want to ruin this trip because I wanted to do something nice, but I don't want to be with you. And the whole attraction thing came up again. And this time it was meaner, and it was really, really cool. And I reached out to the coach that he was working with, and I was like, what should I do? And the coach gave me something that was useful at that moment and said, even though he's telling you he doesn't want to be with you, stay with him. Stay with him, because he might just be saying that. And stay with him, sit with him. Everyone's abandoned him. Don't do that to him. And so I did that. And at first I was really sad and upset, and I just wanted to take a first flight out and leave. And then I was like, let's just stay here like friends. And we stayed. And by the end of the trip, he was like, I'm so glad you didn't leave. I love you so much. And like, I wouldn't want to be here with anyone but you. And that was kind of how the dynamic flipped. So it's like, I think these tools that you guys can give people in this dynamic, like, you know, when it's do the opposite of what you would do. I think as an anxious person, I react. Mm-hmm. Not reacting is something that I'm learning to do. Mm-hmm. Sitting and pausing is something I'm learning to do. It's almost like I'm taking the cue from what they do. The opposite end of the spectrum, the fearful avoidant. Mm-hmm. They pause, they take space.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I think that's been very helpful.
Oh yeah, you both the anxious and the avoidant can learn a lot from each other. You know, the avoidant can learn a lot from being vulnerable, a little like the anxious attached. Baby steps, just like it's not easy for you to stay still. It's not going to be easy for them to, you know, be a little vulnerable, communicate a little bit. You've got to start really small steps here. But yeah, if they can be vulnerable, be a little open to intimacy, communicate just a little bit, just keep trying it, which is mirroring the anxious attached, and the anxious attached mirrors the avoidance, independence, alone time, pause before responding. It would be great. Also, accountability, right? You said something that so the advice that the other coach gave to you about him. We cannot, the advice is, even if he's saying that he is not attracted to you, you should still stay with him. For those of us, for those who are listening and can't see my expression, there's confusion. Because we can't hold the avoidant attached person accountable if we're tolerating their behavior. If you tell me you don't want me around, you're not attracted to me, thank you for letting me know. I'm out of here. That's what self-respect and self-love looks like, right? Had I been his coach and you called me, right? First of all, there's a breach in confidentiality. I will never be able to communicate with a client's partner without the client's written permission. The other thing it does is, should the partner finds out, right? This is kind of stalking. It's breaking a boundary. It's invading someone's privacy. Okay. The coach could have guided you on this. Say, this is a conversation you guys need to have together. Okay. So should we hold the avoidant attached accountable just as we hold anxious attached accountable? For sure. Can we make them do something? We can't. An avoidant attached person, when they're held accountable, what do they do generally? They push the boundaries. They push the boundaries to see if you're serious. Now, they know if you're holding them accountable, if you allow them to break those boundaries. But if we keep having the conversation, don't do this, for example, it sounds like he said, again, I'm just going to keep putting this bit in. There is no shame for how you responded, how you reacted. Like you mentioned earlier, this started in your childhood. You noticed it, never feeling good enough. And here we are. Okay. This is to help you correct whatever else is coming in the future. Someone says they're not attracted to you. Fine. Give them one chance to apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. Good. Let's see how things go now. But they do it a second and a third and a fourth time. That is not holding them accountable. It's now, I have to ask myself, why am I tolerating this? I have to hold myself accountable. If you keep putting your hand, first time you touch the fire, it burns. Second time, we're going to be a little careful. By the third time, if we keep doing it, we've got to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? So we can hold an avoidant attached person accountable. Of course, we can say, this is absolutely unacceptable. This is BS. You don't get to treat me like this. But what do we do next? Do we show them that we're serious about this? So one is holding you accountable, putting up a boundary and saying, you don't get to do this. That's not okay. None of what, or a lot that you've shared with me that he's done is okay, right? What consequences did he suffer to know that this is not acceptable again in the future? Don't try this crap again with me in the future. Because if it's nothing, if it's just a, oops, sorry, then they'll keep doing it again. They are being held accountable. There's grace, there's empathy, and accountability, which is also boundary. Mm-hmm.
So how would you suggest in that situation that I've been held accountable?
As it is now or back then?
Back then.
Okay, so for example, let's use let's go to where, all right, do we start from the beginning? It's always best to go to the first thing that stings, the first thing that hurts. When someone says to you, I'm not attracted to you, I'm not in love with you. We want to love ourselves. And the way we can love ourselves is imagine that 5-year-old little you. That precious, precious child. Are you going to let anybody hurt that child? Think of that. Imagine an adult walks up to that child and say, oh, I'm not attracted to you. I don't think you're all that. I think you're whatever, ugly, whatever. If you're the parent of that child, are you going to let it happen? No. I mean, we look at kids being mistreated on the streets now. We turn up our noses and stop people, right? So you're not going to. So imagine that little girl is hearing him say, I'm not attracted to you. I don't love you. What would you hope that little girl would do? And what do you think that little girl's going to do? That little girl's going to say, well, too bad. You're on your own. You're mean. I'm out of here. Right? That's where we want to get to. We want to get back to the love we had for ourselves, the way we were able to set boundaries when we were children. And it's easy to do. It's easy to know what that child would say. You just have to place yourself there. Fine. We forgive you. You said a mean thing. You're sorry. We forgive you. The second time it happens, say, okay, this is serious now because it's the second time you're saying this. I'm going to have to remove myself because I no longer feel safe with you. I'm not asking you to recognize what you said. I'm not trying to explain to you so you could get what you're saying, empathize with what I'm feeling. None of it. I'm stating how I feel in this situation. And I'm going to remove myself to protect me because you're clearly not doing or saying anything that protects me. So you're showing me that I have to keep myself safe. It is difficult to do these things. It is difficult. Why? Because it doesn't start here. It started way into your childhood. So yes, like you mentioned, the beginning parts of your relationship, you must have shared some sort of a similar trauma.
That was the insecurity that I shared that he accepted and made me feel validated and safe, and then he threw it back in my face.
Yeah. What you shared was something that happened in your childhood or growing up. So in each other, you saw and fell in love with the younger versions of yourself. You wanted to protect the younger versions of yourself. And there is that. There is the younger you, and then there's the adult you. And when there's a younger us and an adult us that has not been healed, that adult us can be very cruel, can be very mean, because now it's got an inflated ego and it's stronger. It's a stronger ego. And when it pushes back, it hurts the other person. So you can have empathy for the younger person you see in them and the boundary for the other side of them. We have so many sides to us. You want to be able to see the reality. When we talk about look at the reality of the situation, it's look at who the person is. It's not only a sweet, innocent, thoughtful person. This person can also be vengeful and do things that hurt us. And that's where you need the boundary. It's knowing what role to step into and who you're embracing at any given time. How do you interact? So let's say he comes up and shares a sad story. Of course, you can be compassionate and understanding and listen and all the good, sweet things. But if the other side of him comes in and says something mean and nasty, your boundaries got to kick in and say, nope, that does not work.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I think what you said earlier about the avoidant often pushing boundaries, and kind of, it's like when you tell them they did something wrong, they act like a child, right? And they're like, oh, let me just draw on this and just be okay. Okay, fine. I'll act the way that you want to. I think that changes the dynamic of the partner turning into a mother role, which erodes attraction as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see them engaging with other people, like other females, and I think they're looking for that kind of, I wouldn't say attraction, but that thing that they're missing within the dynamic of
They're looking for a partner.
partnership.
Yeah, they're looking for a partner and not a mother or a father. Yeah. The partner is someone who just listens and would probably ask, how can I support you in this? Do you want me to listen? Would you like my take on it? But I'm not jumping in to give advice. And I'm validating when, there need to be a validation. Or if it's something where I'm not going to validate, but I don't agree with you, right? My job is to say, maybe you should talk to a therapist about this. Or maybe you should talk to a coach, or maybe you should talk to a friend. Know what your role is. Not you, all of us know what our role is in a relationship as a partner. We're not a therapist. I'm not a coach in my relationship. I'm not, it's not an easy thing to switch off. You find a lot of people talk about this, like who they are, the cap that they wear, and professionally, we use a lot of effort to switch it off with our kids and friends. And, you don't launch in with advice. And a lot of us, especially the anxious attached, we want to fix our partner so they could be happy and love us again, just like we did with our parents. We wanted to be quiet and calm and peaceful and, achieve everything our parents wanted to, so just so they could love us.
Absolutely. And I think it's easier specifically when the anxious attached is a female. Like there's that mothering instinct, right? Like you just want to help, you want to solve, and specifically oldest daughter, like that dynamic is like you're the one that everybody goes to for their problems and you solve them.
Yeah.
But I do think giving that love back to yourself is something that I'm trying to sit with, because when we're separated now, and when I get up and I see something that he's posted, like, oh, he's so free now and he can do all the things that he couldn't do with me, which is, it's hurtful, because a lot of those things I did myself, like travel and, and it's like, it's painting this crazy, untrue portrait. But when I get up and I feel that, and I'm like, what am I feeling right now? I try to name my feeling, and then reparenting that child that is wounded. And then I say to myself, what can I give myself that I'm needing from him, which he can't give me? And then when it comes down to it, I can give myself everything.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need someone to tell you you're pretty or you're smart, or, that you're fun to be around, and you don't need a human being to do it. That is why when people say, I need a partner, I'm often like, okay, I remember feeling like I needed a partner, but now in the space I'm at, it's not a need. It should never be a need, because when it becomes a need, then you're pretty much afraid of losing that person. It brings a lot of chaos. I don't want to use the word pressure because it seemed to be triggering. It brings a lot of chaos. And I think, the avoidant does the same thing, where, it's the unhealthy energies come into play. That's where that's what causes the, like, for example, we're just going to use female and male for reference here. The female who wants to be in her feminine energy is so used to being in a negative masculine energy. So she tells her partner what he needs to do. She tries to direct everything. She tries to control everything because she's not seen her worth as yet. Avoidant, and that's the unhealthy masculine energy, right? And the unhealthy feminine is mothering the partner, right? Instead of being the partner, which is the feminine energy just sits back and trusts that the partner's got everything. I'm going to treat it. I want this adult human male to act like an adult human male. So I'm going to treat them that way and not as a child. I'm going to trust that they're going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. And the avoidant, we're just going to use a man here, for example. Fearful avoidant will act in the role of an unhealthy masculine energy, where it's they're being the father. Oh, you should do it this way. And oh, you should do it that way. And why aren't you doing it this way? And they question and makes their partner feel not good enough. Instead of the supportive role of the healthy masculine, how can I assist you with this? Right?
Yeah. Or rising to the challenge. Because I think a lot of times with avoidance, it's like, oh my God, that's so much pressure. Oh, honey, can you put these shelves up? Oh my God, that's so much pressure.
Yes.
It's
And
like,
that is the unhealthy masculine energy, which flips into unhealthy feminine. They're more in this unhealthy receive, right? And then when the unhealthy masculine in the woman comes in and says, okay, I'll do it, it just continues with this cycle where no one is given the space, meaning being pushed or coerced into stepping up to the plate. So when you become securely attached and you could set these boundaries and you could sit across the table from someone and say, this is what I'm looking for in a partner. I want a provider, a protector, someone who's got goals, who goes after goals, who perseveres, who has drive. That's what I'm looking for. I need someone who's going to lead. And you can do that with a fearful avoidant. You can do it with a fearful avoidant. It just takes a little bit of work where you have to say occasionally that, no, I don't want to choose the restaurant. I don't want to plan the trip. Of course, I want to be a part of it, but how about you go around and scout out the scene and then you come back to me and we'll discuss it. And in my feminine energy, I'll say, okay, this makes me comfortable, or it doesn't.
I like that. Yeah. And I think, just going back to the feelings and the other person being all like your entire world, I think I read a book from an author. She was great. And there was a quote she said, she was like, don't build your home in somebody else because they can leave or they can move it. And it goes back to your home should be in you. And that's what I'm really, really in my healing journey now after the separation and trying to focus on. It's like I give myself happiness, people add to it or take from it.
Mm-hmm.
I give myself security, people add to it or take from it. But they shouldn't be that person that gives it to me because it gives them this insane amount of power. So when we go through a breakup, it's crippling because we're like, what happened, And so I think that's the thing that I'm trying to do is like logically say to myself, like I can give myself everything that I've asked of this person and from this person, and just being very clear about what you want. I think that's really important as well. The other thing I would say is like one thing I wish I would have done differently, and I still, after everything that's been said and done, after the treatment that I've kind of endured, and it's hard for them too. I would say the empathy side of me is like they know the rep that they get online. They read the comments. They're like, we're penalized. Like we don't like asking for help because look at what people already perceive about us because they don't understand us. Especially fearful avoidance. They want closeness, but they also want space. It's confusing. But is the communication style, like how to communicate with people. Because for me, I was very reactive because I was getting my feelings hurt. So I would be like, I want to talk right now. And if we said we're going to talk in like 2 hours, like I was like impatient, or it's a tone of voice. Mm-hmm. It's like how you say something. And I think this is something that we can take and apply into everything in life, whether it's work, whether it's our family relationship. It's the tone of how you say something.
Yeah.
That really carries the weight.
Yeah, it does. Look, I know I have a lot of fearful avoidant who are clients. They're seeing the nasty things for sure. They're also, working on themselves. There's another coach and psychotherapist that I know and I absolutely respect and admire, Naj Ali Khan. He's also on social media. He works specifically with attachment theory. He was once fearful avoidant, did some work, and now he works with people. And the reason I like to mention him is that we're not always comfortable working with a female. And it's wonderful knowing of him and his work. So, people could always, if you feel like a man would understand you better than that, I would highly, highly recommend him. Just to add on before we hop off, just to add on to what the author said about your home being inside of you. I love that. When we have a home, we also want to furnish it. And we furnish it with self-love and self-respect and boundaries. These are all the furniture that we add to it. And we don't just give them out. Yes, people want to be trusted and they want to be heard. You can do all of that. But we want to be really careful with who we're letting into our space. It does not mean we close the door on people. Invite them and get to know them before asking them to move in. It's really important that we take our time, especially with the nonsense that's going on in the world right now. It's just very, very difficult when it comes to relationships. I feel like people feel like just because there's this the dating apps out there, it's just easy to just pick up and toss people out like walking into a shoe store. So it's not been the most helpful. I mean, every time I say this, my partner reminds me that we met on a dating app. There are a few, and we've had our struggles. We've had a lot of struggles to get to where we are. We got lucky. We say that often, but we hear a lot of horror stories too. So yeah, it would be nice to have you again later on. Another time if you're open to that, and let us know how your journey is coming along and how you're building this house, this home within you.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing. This was really, really good. I've been taking notes for myself as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Let me